Hi students, in this video we will discuss about structures. So a structure is a collection of elements of different data types, or in other words we can say that grouping of related data items, or grouping together the related data items, we call them as structure. So whereas we discussed about array is a collection of similar data types, whereas structure is a collection of different data types or dissimilar data types. In order to create a structure, we use a keyword called struct. Keyword is used to create a structure. Now, using structure, we can store the details of students. Using structure, we can store the details of student details, we can store employee details, we can store book details, we can store, or a person details we can store. In this way we can store the details of different types. Here structures are called as user defined data types. With the help of predefined data types we can create our own data types. So structures are called as user defined data types. Then in order to create a structure we use a keyword called struct. Keyword we use. Then the syntax to create a structure, how to create a structure. So here we use struct structure name, then data type, variable name 1, data type, variable name 2, and so on. N number of variables you can create. Here the definition of structure ends with semicolon. Definition of structure ends with semicolon. So we call, because it is a statement, the structure is treated as statement, so the definition of structure ends with semicolon. Now here let us see one example how to create a structure. Now here, in order to create a structure, so let us see one example for creating a structure. Here I am creating a structure called person with the fields age, name and height. Int age, char, name of 20, and float height. This is creating a structure. So here struct name of the structure is person, and the details we have inside for a person is we are storing age of the person, name of the person, as well as height of the person. I want to store these details for a person. Then the definition of structure ends with semicolon. Here the structure definition will not occupy any memory. Now this is a user defined data type, whereas int we call it as a primitive data type. Now suppose if you want to store any integer value, what we will do, we will create int. Only with int it will not occupy any, no use. We have to create one integer type of variable like int a or int b or int c. When you create one variable, then with that name memory will be allocated where you can store some value. Similarly, only the structure, with the structure will not occupy any memory, or with the structure data type we cannot do anything. Similar to integer, we need to, as we are creating int a, we need to create one structure type variable to allocate the memory, like similar to predefined data types. Now here I want to store one person details, so you need to create struct person P1 or P2 or P3, any number of variables you can create. Now when you create struct person P1, what happens here is with the name P1, memory will be allocated for age, name and height. Now int a means how many bytes this a will occupy? This will occupy 4 bytes of memory. Now how many bytes of memory this P1 will occupy? When you create P1, the amount of memory this P1 occupies is equal to the sum of memories of all its elements. That is, how many bytes this integer will occupy? 4 bytes. How many bytes this name will occupy? 20 bytes. How many bytes this height will occupy? Height is a floating point type. This is also float type. So 20 plus 4 plus 4. How many bytes this P1 will occupy? In this example, it will vary from example to example. If we add some more fields, memory size will vary. Now in this example, it will occupy 28 bytes of memory it will occupy. Now memory will be allocated for all its elements. The variables which are inside the structure, they are called as either members of structure or elements of structure. Variables inside the structure are called as members of structure or elements of structure. These structure elements, we cannot access these structure elements directly. We have to access with the help of structure type variable. Like if you want to access the details of P1, then you need to access with the help of P1.age, with the help of P1.age, P1.name, P1.height. That is with the help of structure variable and dot operator we will use. So P1.age, P1.name and P1.height. Suppose if P1 is a pointer, we can access in two ways. One is with the dot operator, the other one is with the indirect access specifier, that is minus greater than. If it is a pointer, we use minus greater than. So if it is a normal variable, we will access with the help of dot operator we will access. So this we will discuss now with the help of P1.age, P1.name, P1.height we can access. Okay, I will repeat once again. What is a structure? It is a collection of elements of dissimilar data types or different data types. Using structure, we can group together the related elements or related data items can be grouped together and we can create our own data type. That is, we call it as user defined data type. Now the struct keyword is used for creating a structure, and the variables inside the structure are called as elements of structure or members of structure. The elements of structure are not accessible outside the structure directly. They are accessible with the help of structure type variable. When we create a structure type variable, memory will be allocated continuously for all the elements of structure. Memory will be allocated continuously for all the elements of structure. So structure elements are accessible with the help of structure type variable dot element name. That is P1.age, P1.name and P1.height. How many bytes this structure type variable occupies means it is equal to the sum of memories of all its elements. That is, in this case it will occupy 28 bytes of memory it will occupy. Okay, now let us see one example how to initialize and display the elements. So in this case we will discuss, so 2 or 3 examples I will show you on structures. Please watch the video till the end. Now let me show you the execution part. Now here you can see, so here I am creating a structure called struct person. With the fields you can see here, int age, char name of 20, float height. Then struct person p1 equal to, this is initializing a structure variable. So we are so what happens here, with the name p1, memory will be allocated for age, name and height. Just now I told you that memory will be allocated for age, name as well as height. So 33 will be stored in the age part, Sachin will be stored in name part, and 5.6 will be stored in height part. Then size of P1 we are seeing. Then I will show you how to display. First let us see the size of P1. How many bytes it occupies. How many bytes it is occupying? 28 bytes of memory it is occupying. Okay. Now that is how 28 sum of memories of all its elements. Suppose in this case I will add one more variable called int x. Now how many bytes it will occupy? So 28 plus this 4, 32 bytes of memory it will occupy. You can see how many bytes it is occupying? 32 bytes of memory. That is sum of memories of all its elements. Now I want to display these details onto the screen. So in order to display these details, printf %d %s %f p1.h, p1.name, and p1.height. This will be displayed onto the screen. Now that the details of first person will be displayed onto the screen. Save this program, compile and run the program. Now you can see 33, Sachin, and 5.6. Suppose, now let us assume that I want to store the details of two persons. So what we can do here, we can create another structure variable, struct person p2, then you can use 43, name of the person SALMAN Salman, then height you can take it as 6.6. Then again for p2 also, how many bytes it will occupy? It will store. For p2 will also occupy. For p1 28 bytes as well as for p2 28 bytes will be allocated. Now you can display the details like p2.age, p2.name, and p2.height. Second person details will be accessed with the help of p2. First person details with p1 and second person details with p2. Save your program, compile and run the program. Okay, so 33 Sachin 5.6, first person details, 43 Salman 6.6, second person details displayed onto the screen. Okay, so this is how to initialize and display the details. Now what I want is, instead of initializing, I want to assign the values. I will remove this part. I want to assign the values. Struct person p1 comma p2, two persons details I will take. Now by default it will display garbage values. Now let us run this program. We have not assigned any values, so how many bytes it will occupy? Same 28 bytes, and by default structure variable contains unknown values or garbage values. If you run your program, so by default it is displaying some garbage values. Okay, now I want to assign the values for both the persons. Then in order to assign the value, we use here, in order to assign the values, p1.age equal to some value 21, then p1.name equal to SACHIN Sachin I am assigning. So this will give you an error message. Why? Because one string cannot be assigned to another string directly. So for copying a string, here we need to take the help of a function called strcpy. Strcpy p1 dot name comma Sachin, SACHIN Sachin, then end with a semicolon. We cannot assign, so we have to take the help of strcpy. What is the header file for strcpy? String.h. So if you are using strcpy, include the header file string.h. Then p1 dot height equal to, you can give the value 5.6. Okay, now let us check only for p1. Similarly, if you want to assign for p2, p2 dot age equal to 31, then strcpy p2 dot name comma SALMAN Salman, then p2 dot height equal to 6.6. This is assigning the values. Earlier we initialized, now we are assigning the values. So save your program, compile and run the program. Then you can see 21 Sachin 5.6, 31 Salman 6.6 will be displayed onto the screen. Now what I want is, I want to accept the details of two persons and display these details onto the screen. So in order to accept the details, what we need to do? So in order to accept, we need to use printf and scanf. For accepting the details, I will take only for one person. Okay, so for second person also the same procedure. So but for I will show you for one person. Printf, ask the user enter the age. Store that value in a variable called scanf %d comma ampersand p1 dot age. p1 dot age, then end with semicolon. Similarly, ask the user printf enter the name. Scanf %s comma p1 dot name. This is for storing the name of the person. Then similarly printf enter height of that particular person. Scanf, what is the format specifier for float? Ampersand p1 dot height. p1 dot height, end with semicolon. So this is accepting the details. Now in order to display the details, the same thing we use. So save your program, compile and run the program. So enter the age 33, name Soni, height 5.6. So it displays these details onto the screen. Okay, so thank you for watching. In the next videos we will see array of structure variables and nested structures.